this evening we start with music. We begin today's proceedings on a musical note with an exclusive performance by a living legend himself. So ladies and gentlemen, please get ready for an absolutely amazing sitar performance by none other than the legendary sitar maestro, Ustad Shujat Hussain Khan. Invite the Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Shri Naveen Patnaik, to come on the podium and please say a few words.
When I first became Chief Minister in the year 2000, Odisha was importing rice. Today, we are the third largest contributors to the public distribution system in this country. In the last 10 years, we have doubled the incomes of our farmers. And also, we have lifted 8 million of our people above the poverty line. We have concentrated on the welfare of women and our tribals. As far as women's empowerment and economic development is concerned, we now have 5 million self-help groups, women self-help groups, which is our Mission Shakti initiative for their development. As far as infant mortality is concerned, we held the lowest statistics in the country. Today, we are well above the national average, and we save up to 50,000 babies' lives every year. In the year 1999, a horrifying super cyclone took place in Odisha, where 30,000 lives were lost. We have, in the last 4 years, through our disaster management initiatives, come to a zero tolerance as far as human lives are concerned, and no human lives were destroyed in Cyclone Phylon. We have always endeavored to make more and more efforts for our state, which we hope one day that Odisha will be the leading state in the country as far as welfare and development is concerned. I would like to thank the Outlook Group for the award again, and also to congratulate the other distinguished awardees. Thank you very much indeed. Namaskar. Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you so much, sir. I'd now like to invite the Honorable Union Minister for Finance, Defence and Corporate Affairs, Shri Arun Jaitley, to deliver the keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Arun Jaitley. Good evening, sir.
Just a few words about the context which you mentioned in terms of, while giving the comment on Indian Parliament and what we do there. I think Parliament still remains in India one of the greatest institutions which suits this country. It's an institution where almost every representative, different shades of political ideology, different regions, different people with different religious, cultural backgrounds, different languages, with very different interests, all assemble in two different houses and then become a part of that collective decision-making process which is Indian Parliament. And therefore, in a diverse country like India, a forum of this kind, which is bicameral, where almost every shade of every voice is represented, actually has enabled over the last 7 decades a very large involvement of different sections of people itself. They come there as members of political parties or as representative of states, and I think it's served Indian democracy well. Of course, the character is changing because the character of polity itself is changing. There was a time where Indian Parliament had essentially serious debates. Ministers were grilled, the nation found out information through some great stalwarts in the opposition benches or in Parliament as an institution itself. But of late, of course, you will have your usual bit of noise, disturbances. But then one of the greatest flexibilities of Indian Parliament is that after that noise, it starts functioning. And by and large, it is able to deliver substantially on the agenda which is assigned to it. And I think one important yardstick, if you may look at, from 1991 when the economic reforms process started, despite all these challenges in the parliamentary functioning that we have, as I look back today, I can't recollect a single major legislation in terms of reform. Some got delayed, but nothing was ever held up. And therefore, the process of discussion, the process of disturbance, discussion, meetings, committees, parliamentary committees, eventually enables a consensus to develop. And when legislations, even very complicated ones, are passed, it normally gets passed through a process of consensus itself. About speaking in Parliament and debates in Parliament, I have a very interesting observation if I look back to my own stay. My very first or second day in Parliament, I was asked to speak on something and I spoke a little aggressively. And after I finished speaking, Mr. Advani took me aside and said, I have one suggestion to give you. Concentrate on issues, never on persons when you speak in Parliament. And I think all those who followed that broad principle have been able to stay out of personal acrimony, have been able to stay out of a system where their own speeches get disturbed. And I mentioned this in an article that I wrote on Pranab Babu the day he relinquished office at the President, that his was an extremely telling parliamentary career which Rajesh referred to. I was a beginner, but I, as a beginner, became a minister and he was occupying the front benches of the opposition in the upper house. But whether in the opposition or in the government when he spoke, he discarded the political party cap that he wore and always phrased his arguments in a manner that the argument was substantially non-partisan in character. And I described him in an article that I wrote on him, that he eventually came out as almost an amicus curiae speaker who was speaking for the whole house or who was speaking for the country and therefore wanted the whole parliamentary consensus to stand behind him. And I think it was this particular approach which makes decision-making in Parliament and makes your own acceptability in Parliament a lot easier. Now, this whole debate on excessive number of disturbances in Parliament will go on. When we are in opposition, we all say, well, that's one of the last resorts we have to resort to. And when we are in government, we say this is not the right thing to do. But eventually, it's always a debate between a disturbance, adjournment, then meetings, then consensus, then sitting till late in the evening, at times producing a very high quality debate. And one of the greatest tributes to Parliament then would be that when you have that high quality debate, you find news channels even stopping their 9 o'clock acrimonious debates and switching over live and showing you what Parliament has been discussing. And that's a tribute to the quality of the debate that takes place in those parliaments. And that's the system which we live in. And I think at the end of the day, if I look back, and I'm sure we'll have the benefit of Pranab Babu's views also in this, there is no other system which is better suited for India. There is no other system that can produce the most aggressive aspect of your personality. At the same time, the next minute, bring about the biggest conciliator in you, which is more suitable for India, and which then becomes a process of a decision-making for a larger interest of the country that it takes place. I must tell you that if you look back some of the recent last few months, you had years and years of debates, for example, on the GST. But the Constitution Amendment, 6 legislations by the center, 1 legislation by each of the states, eventually after that consensus and acrimony passed unanimously. A contentious law like the Insolvency Code recently passed unanimously. So at the end of the day, it's a forum which, despite its song and dance and noise, is certainly able to bring about a larger consensus and bring varied shades of ideology itself together. And I think as Indian democracy moves on, I don't see the noise in Parliament coming down, but I still feel it will remain probably one of the most relevant institutions as far as India is concerned. Thank you once again, Rajesh, and your entire team for having invited me.
I'd like to take this opportunity to now invite our chief guest, the Honorable former President of India, Sri Pranab Mukherjee, to please come and say a few words.
Many years ago, I think almost 90 years ago, Rabindranath Tagore, as Arun mentioned to me more than often, I used to refer to Tagore's in my parliamentary speech and thereafter also. While giving awards and recognizing somebody, he made this observation on his 70th birth anniversary, when citizens of Calcutta honored him. By that time, he has received Nobel Prize, as recognized all over the world as intellectual giant. Talking of humanity, spreading the message of universal love, affection, transcending the boundaries of territories, languages, and races. He stated that there is a need of recognizing. Recognition is needed to encourage the creative mind to contribute more, to create more, to give more to the society. Today we had the privilege of honoring certain people whose contributions need not speak of. Being in public life, particularly in governance of this country and in Parliament, for some time, not as long as the last year's predecessors and even contemporaries like Atal Bihari Vajpayee or L.K. Advani, both of them, will have more years in Parliament than I spent. But I had the privilege of working with Arun, both as he is too junior, because when I was minister, already a minister in the government of India, he was a student activist and General Secretary of Delhi University or General Secretary of Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, sometimes in mid-70s. So he is too young compared to my age, and always I used to call him Dear Arun. I saw him as leader of the House. I saw him as leader of the opposition, his performance. In Vajpayeeji's government, when he handled one of the most ticklish issues, that is World Trade Organization, and which are accustomed with the Doha round of talks, which he, after initiated by his predecessor, Mursali Maran, he took it to its logical conclusion and upheld India's advantage in the most competitive trading environment which prevailed then, which is prevailing now, but still the safeguards he provided in Doha round will help India for many more years to come. As Defense Minister, his timely intervention at this point of time, when our border is little bit hot, but I am quite confident the crisis will be diffused, it will not explode itself, because the broad national interest and human interest requires that. Two mighty neighbors and largest population of the world, they must live and let others to live in peace, in harmony, in cooperation, and in understanding of each other. I have no doubt government of the day will steer the situation, and we are confident that it is in the safe hand of a man who is young but wise enough to carry this burden and to protect the interest of the country. I would not like to speak on what should be the role of media, because they know themselves very well. Once I was asked to comment on it, I said, they know their job, and I have every confidence and faith that if there be any aberration anywhere, they will know how to correct it and how to set right the aberration. No external body, no external authorities can do this job. Self-regulation is the best regulation. And therefore, I would only appeal to the media that we, the common persons who are surrounded by media, almost consumed by media, 24 hours, and with the addition of social media, which has given tremendous power to an individual, we are really baffling to know the truth. Before sharing the information to others, to keep our conscience right, we must know what is right, what is not right, what should be shared, what should not be shared. Therefore, this volume of information which are available. No doubt information is an important power. It is an instrument at the hand of the common people to not only express his grievances, but to draw the attention of large number of people to this aspect. But at the same time, with this voluminous expansion of the information, there must be a mechanism through which we can find what is right, what is not so right. I am not passing judgment, because nobody is in a position to pass judgment. Only hope I have that we will find the way, as Indian media have always proved itself. Journey of Indian media is almost synonymous with the awakening of new India, modern India. Freedom struggle was one of the most important milestones in that journey. And media has also, the media in the modern sense, had also begun its journey before that. And they had still on the process, on the move, and I wish them all success in their endeavors. Once again, I express my deep gratitude to Outlook Group for doing and discharging this noble task of recognizing the talents, achievements, and to recognize them, not only identifying, but recognizing them on behalf of the nation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.